Every who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and no prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
Every man needs to watch this film as well to kind of see how it feels to be a woman sometimes, or what girls are for.
Men get so many films that are made for them and that they can see themselves reflected and their experiences reflected. And maybe if you're a man watching this and basically there's no redeeming men in this, you might feel a little bit put out. And that this film really feels like she is making it for women and going, I see you, these are all your experiences, I'm putting them all up on screen and I'm not even going to give a pass for a redeeming man.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher podcast. Today we're joined by Tommy.
Hello.
Montana.
Hello.
And Helen.
Hi.
And we're going to be talking about Woman of the Hour. Thank you as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes. Thanks to Ben from Rockwood Audio for editing this podcast and all our episodes. Please do remember to head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Pocket Casts and give us a 5-star rating and a massively glowing review. And join the conversation with us on social media, at Twitter, kind of. We're not there really, but we're still there. And Instagram and everywhere else, we are at Flixwatcher.
Hello film fans, welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher podcast. Our guests today are Montana and Tommy. Over to you please, Tommy, to say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Yeah, so my name's Tommy Pullen, and I predominantly work in theatre. At the minute I work in advertising, specifically on a select number of musicals, but...
A select number? What musicals are you working on? Are you West End, London based?
Yeah, West End, so I work on Back to the Future, the musical.
That's amazing.
Which is fantastic, and MJ the musical as well at the minute. And when I'm not working within those shows, I sort of run a new collective workshop called the Salient Workshop. So yeah, but for years I've come from theatre, set up different companies, toured EU or around Europe, and yeah, sort of just creating something new. So it's sort of the early stages of this new workshop, but yeah, so we'll see what happens.
The Back to the Future musicals actually really, especially when I lived in London, I went to see quite a few musicals, more than non-musicals. I don't know what the other term is. But what happens right at the end of that musical is like, what? Without trying to spoil it, but, you know, it's Back to the Future, so there's awesome stuff that happens and in the film, and you might be able to guess what might happen in the stage play. But it was like, I've not seen anything like that before.
Right, it's spectacular. It's everything that fans would expect as well from the film. So it really appeases to sort of film lovers and those sort of like those who love the nostalgia of that time. And also it's actually like, it's a really good piece of like musical theatre as well. It's a really strong piece of musical theatre. So yeah, I'd recommend anyone to see it if they haven't already. Obviously I would say that, but you know.
Hard to recommend it too. Montana, who are you?
Hello, I'm Montana. I work for Women in Film and Television UK as the London Events and Awards producer. So my job consists of running events both online and in person. We run screenings, Q&As, development workshops, a real mixture of stuff really. If you're a woman in the industry or non-binary person in the industry, I really recommend checking us out. We offer loads of resources as well as our events, and we run our mentor program annually as well as our fearless leadership program for senior women in the industry. We have a screenwriters lab, and we also are in our second year of running our WFTV festival, which will kick off in March to coincide with International Women's Day. And then on top of all that, we've got our awards, which was last Friday actually, so that was a big day for us, the Women in Film and TV Awards. So just kind of recovering off the back of that.
Wow.
Not much then.
I've not got enough fingers to count how many things you get up to.
Yeah, we do a lot. Over 200 events a year as well, so we're always busy.
So this is your choice of film today, Montana. Women. I don't know why do I keep saying it wrong? Women of the Hour.
Women in Film.
Woman of the Hour is what we're talking about today. Can you tell us, first of all, Montana, why you chose it? Then I'll get the timer out.
Okay.
In which you have 60 seconds to give us the synopsis.
Okay. So I actually picked this one, no offence to you guys, but like the list didn't have many female filmmakers on or female like kind of concept stories within the list. So I just thought it'd be rude not to, really, wouldn't it? And this one, I remember when I watched it first time, like really stood out and it's kind of stayed in me. So I just thought it'd be quite interesting to delve into it a bit more.
Absolutely. Okay. And the timer starts now.
So this Women of the Hour tells a story based on real life, which I couldn't believe, of a serial killer whose name's Rodney Alcala, who appeared on The Dating Show in 1978 in the middle of his murdering spree. It follows Sheryl Bradshaw, played by Anna Kendrick, who's an aspiring actress who also appears as a contestant on the same episode as Rodney, as she navigates the superficial world of television fame, dating show theatrics, and what it feels like to be a woman facing everyday sexism and misogyny in the 1970s.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Helen, throw it to you. Had you seen this before?
I had not. I was quite lazy and it had been in my watch list and I was like, someone's going to pick this. This one is prime for picking. And then when they do get to watch it, I get to watch it for the first time. I probably would have watched it maybe over Christmas, but yeah, it'd been on my watch list. So I was like, oh, this is the time to watch it. I remember it coming out and I remember vaguely hearing it was based on a true story. And then I didn't really do much about it. And then I watched it. I did some Wikipediaing and it kind of only really scratches the surface of how horrific this all is. But yeah, it's an interesting story. And it's nice to see a female directed film as well. Anna Kendrick's really nice in it. We have actually had a couple of female directed films. We've had The Eternal Daughter and Little Women for definite that we have picked. But yeah.
Kay Biggs as well. Catherine Bigelow's new films, that's on there as well.
But we haven't had that.
No, sorry.
No,
these are ones that we've had on the podcast. So
I know, but we've had, can't remember what it's called.
Avatar.
Keanu Reeves.
Zero Darkfoot. Yeah, we've had a couple of hers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really interesting. It's got Buster from Arrested Development in it.
No, yeah. Playing not Buster.
Yeah, not playing non-Buster.
That's the first time I've seen not playing Buster on TV since playing Buster.
Yeah.
It's a surprise.
Tony Hale.
It's a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on there.
You said the C word.
Yeah. Big boy. So yeah, I think I was really surprised by it because obviously, Anna Kendrick from her acting work. So yeah, to see her take something on was really interesting. And yeah, what a horrific guy. I mean, also the real horror stories, maybe his nails as well. Like that was a real jump scare for me at the start. I was like, this has got to be the guy 100% with his horrible, horrible nails.
So what about yourself, Tommy? Had you seen this before?
Yeah, I only seen it once before we watched it again for the pod. And yeah, I found it really sort of quite captivating actually at points. But I have to be honest, like I'm not, and Montana might be able to sort of back this up, like I'm not really good at thrillers or thriller adjacent films. But I quite like the points there that was a bit slower, that kind of almost not like Zodiac-like pace, but I think that's what I've found sort of more quite appealing about the film in one aspect. But yeah, and I thought it's a good debut as well from her as well. So it was interesting to revisit again, actually.
So yeah, I've not seen this. I'm like Helen, I heard it come out and it's like, okay, cool, that sounds really good. But then when the downside of having a film that you know's going to be on Netflix for eternity, because we knew this was a Netflix film, it's like, I'll get around to it at some point. And this was one of those. It came out like over a year ago, didn't it?
2024.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you picked it, I was like, yes, finally get to pop it to the top of my list. I really enjoyed it. I have some slight reservations as to like the focus of the film. I don't know if there's almost too much focus on Sheryl and not enough focus on others. I don't know. It seemed kind of interesting, and there's a lot of focus around that one night of the recording when ostensibly he's done like 130 odd other
Killings, yeah,
and other things. So I would have liked to have seen him get a bit more of his just for desserts a bit, but also I think if it's focused on him too much, then it would be like his story rather than from the female's perspective. So I'm still trying to reconcile that aspect of things. But yeah, I thought it was good crack. And what I did try and do some research, did try to find out a bit more, but you can see clips, you can see images of him on that dating show. And you're thinking, well, obviously he's a serial killer, so his mind isn't compos mentis like most people is, but what is he doing on there? What are you actually doing?
Yeah.
Sociopath.
Is that his hunting ground? I don't know. What's the matter with him?
It feels like he's untouchable and can go on national TV and basically get away with it, which is essentially what he'd been doing, was getting away with it. People were reporting him and he was being investigated and still managed to get away with it. So I guess it was a certain kind of arrogance that he could go on national TV, be picked and still get away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's shocking for us to talk about it now, but like reality TV is still like duty of care. I mean, it's obviously got a lot better now, but like, don't want to go into detail, but like look at like things like Love Island. Obviously, it's been really problematic quite recently as well, and I think it hasn't really. I don't know. It's just interesting, and I think the whole genre of true crime and this whole like fetishism of like female victims it's quite uncomfortable, isn't it? And I think we're becoming way more aware of it now in genres and in telly and film. I thought it was really clever how they do it.
Normally the focus is glamorizing the killer, and I think that is what there's been a few Netflix ones recently that have been kind of noted for that, and don't quite give the victims any kind of voice. So
I mean, he gets on the show, that's like almost like a symbolism, like he's got literally the most attention because he's on a dating show. It's like almost like a metaphor really there, isn't it?
Well, I think back in, so that was late 70s. I remember hearing people talking about what they did on like the Jerry Springer show and the equivalent in the UK, as in they didn't give a shit basically, as long as it was going to make for interesting TV. I'm not sure how interesting he made that specific episode, but he was another body that they could have on the show, and it wouldn't really, they'd get their advertising and they'd get people watching it. So why not put him on there? I'm not even sure now if they would do like a DBS check or anything like that, or do like, I'm sure they'd check into your background and check if you've got a criminal record. But ostensibly he didn't have a criminal record. He'd been arrested a few times, so would that have been picked up? I don't know.
We'd like to think so.
Probably not in the 70s.
No.
No, I'm saying about now, would that have been picked up if he'd been done that? This is where we kind of go to Helen and the truth versus the fiction. Do you dig deep into what happened in the real stories and what happened? This is where you tend to be a bit like...
I mean, I think it's fairly kind of faithful, other than a couple of names have changed and maybe some of the kind of scenarios have been merged together. And it also really kind of only scratches the surface in that, it's maybe 4 or 5 women. And because it doesn't kind of glamorize what happened to them, the reality of what happened to them is much, much worse than what is kind of starting to show on screen. I think he was finally caught, not quite in that scenario, but there was someone seen entering his car and then they kind of called the police on it because I think they looked quite young. But in terms of the dating game and a couple of the sort of scenarios in there, it is fairly accurate, but doesn't begin to kind of scratch the surface. Like, they seem to think that the air hostess, he was let in by helping to move the furniture, so those kind of bits kind of worked out. So yeah, what we see on screen is almost like just like a small snapshot of kind of the horrific, really, really deeply horrific and awful stuff that he was doing and getting away with it.
Apparently he was bachelor number 1 though in real life,
right?
Versus bachelor number 3.
Get your facts right, Helen.
Those bachelors, I think if this was a genre of horror, it would be men.
Yes, agree.
The genre and why. I love reading Letterboxd reviews, and there was more than one was like, and this is why women pick the bear, because none of the men in this have any redeeming features, probably. They're all pretty awful. And I think maybe by having it kind of focus on Sheryl and the men that she kind of meets and
With, yeah.
it kind of emphasizes just like the awful behavior that women have to deal with. And you can kind of go, oh, well, it's kind of a product of its time. But I mean, other than kind of the setting, which actually you mentioned sort of, I'll go back to that, but other than kind of like the 70s setting, the behavior still hasn't really changed. But it's interesting you mentioned Zodiac, because the only thing that I found really a bit annoying, I call it like the Netflixication of films, is that it just didn't really feel like the 70s, and everything was really polished and shiny. And like, if you compare it to Zodiac, where it feels like you are in that era,
Yeah.
it doesn't quite do it here. And I think that has just kind of like been slipping into a lot of films. And we talk about like iPhone face. So yeah, that was the only thing that I was didn't quite feel as though I was fully in the 70s. But then,
do you think that could have been budget related, or?
I think probably.
Yeah.
And probably Netflix and just, not the bigger budgets that people probably have normally. And I think it's just, you watch a lot of programs that are kind of set in the 80s and everything is like the ASOS 80s fashion wardrobe, when in reality, the early 80s would have been very much more kind of 70s influenced, and the furniture would be a bit more of a mishmash. Whereas this is just like ChatGPT, what would people wear in the 70s? And it goes, you'd wear flower power skirts and you'd have your hair like that. But yeah, that was just a small point. And I think it's just I've seen it on a few kind of films, it kind of creeps in and you're like,
I think that, the point about it being, just trying to unpick my, don't want to say reservations, but my kind of thoughts about the point about Sheryl is we do see how she's interacts with mainly men, also women in the industry and around that. So you have, at the start, she's at the audition and they are literally like half a metre away from her and talking about her so that she can hear it, which is like in a completely dismissive way. And then you have her next door neighbour who's just can't take a hint and ends up in a place where you can tell she doesn't want to be specifically. And then you have the Tony Hale playing against Tony Hale type, which is, again, and whenever I see like Michael Cera playing against Michael Cera type, I'm like, my head wants to explode. And you calling C-word and just dismissing her and saying, wear this other dress because it makes you've got a figure for it. Not even like asking her opinion. So you see all these interactions, and then that actually sets the scene for the rest of the story and gives the context a bit more than had it been the vignettes that we get with women, where the women that Rodney then ends up assaulting or killing. So I think that's, for me, a good foundation. That's probably why we spent a lot more time on Sheryl.
Yeah. With
Rodney, though, did he abuse and kill young boys as well? Because it seemed there was something going on there, as in he had like just a thing for vulnerable people in the way that Jimmy Savile did. There's that kid in his office who I thought he was under some threat before he got accosted by the police.
So I think he definitely had a lot of younger victims as well. But yeah, I didn't see specifically many men, but I think there was quite a lot of emphasis on very, very young women as well.
Mm.
I mean, the one at the end who survives is very young, isn't she? You can tell she's, yeah.
And I think, the photos were a bit of a mix. But yeah, there's like over 120 of his photographs, and a lot of them remain kind of cold cases. So that's people who've gone missing and were never claimed, or the people who were missing them never knew that the photos had been found.
130 people though.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That was the kind of pinpoint at the end, wasn't it?
Was he only convicted for 6 or 7 of the murders?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to say before we head to the scores? We can obviously keep on talking about the film as we go through.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what you guys were saying about like vulnerability of women throughout being a theme, and not even being like the 1970s when it's set, but like, I mean, Anna Kendrick's character, every woman, I don't know if you agree, can relate to at least one of the interactions she has with at least one man in the film. Like, every single man is an arsehole in this film. I mean, even like to the neighbour she ends up like guilt trip sleeping with at the end just to kind of please him and to like stroke his ego. It's like, I feel like every friend I have, every female friend I have, has done that in some point in their life. Like, it's kind of interesting how it's ageless, and it makes us at home in a bit more to Cheryl Bradshaw's character in this, because we can all relate to it and you kind of feel instantly connected to her. Yeah.
And then the other character as well, because I can't remember her name, but the woman who recognises him, not only does she have the security guard basically fob her off,
well, her own boyfriend.
She also her boyfriend.
Yeah. It's crazy. He's like, how much % are you sure? And she's like 90. It's like, is that not enough for the person you love to like believe you? It's crazy. Like every single man is a wanker in this film. Sorry. Excuse my French.
And then particularly another moment which is kind of timeless as well is when she's at the bar with Rodney and he's like, get 2 more drinks, and the bar woman looks at her because she knows, and she's like, no.
Girl code. Yeah, girl code. It's great.
Does that happen now? Has that happened where you've just kind of gone, people just helped you out in places?
Yeah, I mean, ask Angela. Like, it's everywhere
Yeah.
you go. It's just, I mean...
Ask Angela is quite a modern, a new thing though, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's still the
look.
bar staff will kind of have a feeling of whether things are going right, and if...
Yeah.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, a holiday you're saving.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. This season, enjoy spacious, comfortable rooms and friendly service when you book with Hilton instead. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee. I got a message that our flight was canceled. But they can put us on another flight, and we just need to confirm our credit card info.
Wait, I got a security alert from McAfee. It flagged that message as a scam.
McAfee's scam detector automatically spots and alerts you to suspicious texts, emails, and deepfake videos. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. You're ready to move your business forward, but first, you need to find the right team. Start your search with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It can help you reach qualified candidates fast, ensuring your listing is the first one they see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. See the results for yourself. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
They will say like, oh, you know, we finished serving, or like,
yeah,
we'll come to you in a minute kind of thing, and try and
suss it,
diffuse the situation. Yeah.
There's a good line in that restaurant scene, actually, right at the start when they first get in there, and he's like, oh, I pulled in here because you told me to. And she says, I thought it looked normal on the outside. I think that's kind of a really good example of how tension is built as well within some of the scenes, and it's done really well. Yeah, so fair play, Anna Kendrick, for your first time directing debut.
Yeah, we've had Anna Kendrick on Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Is that the only film we've had her on, actually?
Possibly. I don't think we've had any of the Pitch Perfects or Up in the Air, which is the kind of one that I know her.
Did you see Alice Darling as well? That was quite tonally similar.
No.
I've not seen that one yet, no.
But I think in the post-Me Too world, there was quite a few of these films came out, didn't they? Well, not this, but you know, like She Said, it's that Sarah Polley's film, which was on Netflix recently. It's like, well, now let's more stories come out of this style because we've heard Me Too, and then not Rodney King,
Harvey Weinstein.
Well, Harvey Weinstein, yeah. So I'm trying to think about the guy who got killed by the police during the pandemic.
George Floyd.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's been since post George Floyd, there's been like more films from a black perspective that kind of tell that story. When a story happens in real life, then they're like, let's unleash some more stories about this thing. And
yeah,
at one point I'm like, ugh, it's kind of sickening, but at the same time it's good to get people that context. It's good to understand where Sheryl's coming from. It's good to understand.
Do you think it's quite bold for Anna Kendrick to make that move though, considering her like cast type as well? I think it's quite interesting for her to like.
I think probably what happens in Hollywood is that women very rarely get offered roles that they actually want to play.
Yeah.
And also they get past a certain age and suddenly they're finding that they're not getting roles at all. So that's sometimes the only way that you get to make movies that you would want to see and feel like it kind of speaks anything is to go, well, if no one else is making them, then I'm going to make it myself. And it just kind of feels that a few actresses have maybe kind of gone that way. Like Maggie Gyllenhaal has kind of not really acted anymore and has gone off and kind of is making her films. And I just kind of feel that the way kind of you get the impression of Hollywood, and like Angelina Jolie as well did some directing, that a lot of the time the films that maybe you feel kind of speak the most or align with what you want to say, no one's making them, or you're not getting the opportunity to play those parts. So make them yourself.
Twilight. Anna Kendrick was in Twilight, which we've had on here. What? I can't remember which Twilight
I
we
thought
had.
you were going to like Twilight, the feminist classic that every female director wishes they'd made. Although, interestingly, that was started with a female director and then men came along and took the franchise away.
And then went really bad. Or, well, Two Moons or New Moon was very boring in comparison to the first one. I thought, at least.
Yeah.
Should we head to the scores, guys?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm Sam Clements, host of the 90 Minutes or Less Film Festival, another podcast in the Stripped Media family, a podcast that celebrates movies under 90 minutes long. Each episode, I'm joined by a special guest who selects a movie to join our prestigious lineup. Past guests have included fellow Stripped Media family members Martin and Sam from Song by Song, and Kobe from Flixwatcher, and Dave from The Wire Stripped. Search for us now on the app you're currently listening to this podcast, or join us at 90minfilmfest.com.
So welcome to our Flixwatcher scores. They are always out of 5, and you can have decimal places if you wish. And we'll start with you, please, Montana, with your recommendability.
I am going to be out there and go for 5 for this, because I feel like every man needs to watch this film as well to kind of see how it feels to be a woman sometimes, or what girls are for.
How much do you think this will be tone deaf to a lot of men? Will they not realise that what's going on?
Well, it kind of felt like the substance. Like it's almost like so over the top ridiculous, but it kind of has to be communicated clearly. I don't know, sometimes like.
I'm actually kind of saying it seems a bit subtle.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, there's the killing bits.
But every man in this is like not good to a woman.
They're not good, but also they are, I think certainly if I was thinking about when I was at university, the things, I don't know if it's an age thing or just back in the 90s and lad culture, you'd probably say a lot more than you would do then than you would do now. And I don't think they would see it as necessarily being like a bad thing. When people talk like that around me now, I'm like, where the fuck have you come from? As if, like, when I see someone smoking in front of me, like, I don't actually understand what's happening here. It's that kind of weird disconnect. But I think there'll be a good bunch of people who won't see the bad, apart from Rodney, who's out there. He's the bad guy.
Yeah, fair.
The other guys are just like people who are just talking away and are a bit tone deaf, maybe. I
don't know. What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy. Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, it's interesting because like the score I gave it, I'm thinking, maybe I should have given it a higher like recommended viewability now, because it's quite interesting, because I perhaps need to look at the film in that wider sort of context, some of the things that we've been discussing about. Yeah, and I think that's vitally important. And so, yeah, in terms of recommending the film, I
think you're dodging the question. You're dodging the question that Montana's just asked you.
Sounds like common behaviour.
Common behaviour.
For example, when they're in the break during recording of the TV show, and the guy in the middle, suitor number 2, says anything less than a C cup is a waste, or something like that. That is 100% something that could easily have been said any time when I was growing up, and it not been considered to be a thing.
But is that when you were growing up, or when you were an adult?
Well, through to mid-20s, it would have been like something that easily someone would have said, and it wouldn't really have registered in my head as like, don't say stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's not. But then there would have been people saying LGBT things, would be, not necessarily being anti-gay, but they'd say, gay, without even really, for me, it wouldn't register as like, don't say that. It's things like that where it's age or a different era. But now, that's what I'm saying, where people, I'm sure there'll be a huge subset of people, if they were to press play on this, wouldn't recognise the tone deafness, or wouldn't recognise that that's not what you say, especially to people, well, just to anyone really. Why I say that out loud to people. I know, Tommy, is that, does that make sense to you?
Sorry. Yeah, no, absolutely. There's two things that we could have a discussion around, like contemporary lad culture and like conversations and what lad culture looks like now to when there was like reference to lad Bible, like what conversations happened to where, like, if I was in secondary school back in 2010s overall, to then having the conversation in the playground now. And I'd say that, again, there's another conversation I have regarding linguistics, but there's still things that I'm sure that are said that are absolutely horrible. Like, not only, you know, like perhaps around like students, around your friends or at houses, but then again, we could also talk about acts of violence as well. And with the film, you know, it's very violent at times, very violent. And I know when we were watching the film and like in preparation for the podcast, like, or for this chat as well, like Montana had these really interesting observations about, like, you know, the violence is sort of seen from an angle. Sometimes it's sort of hidden, you know, but some of these sort of conversations that I had with, and things you might overhear, they're not very subtle, as a lot of the violence as well within the film. So, I mean, and then again, another thing you could argue is that, like, you know, people will watch the film and they'll think, oh, it's the context of the 70s and it was a different time. Because I've certainly heard that, you know, for particular behaviours when you look back at, you know, people of the past, some people go, oh, it was a different time, it's a different generation. It's still a piece of violence, isn't it? Whether it's verbal or physical. You know, so I think there's something sort of still something to be spoken about there. And then again, if we're going to talk about sort of the aesthetics of the film, the realistic nature of the film and how it looks or how realistic it isn't, and it's like, well, you know, how can that sort of frame conversations a bit more, you know, around these particular topics of the film? I have a sort of different take on, or a particular take on, like the look of the film, like the game shows, sort of, the show sort of style. It's like there's a whole genre of film that, you know, that would cement themselves around that, like that horror film.
Late Night with the Devil.
That's it, yes. And it was shot.
I only watched that the other week, and I was like, this is going to make my brain go weird.
Yes, yeah. And it's shot within that, you know, the square frames and the grain and the noise, you know, and this particular film, when it gets those moments, it sort of doesn't really activate that kind of setting. So I asked questions of, you know, what effect would that have as a viewer? And there were times when they did use it, coming back from an ad break from a different section of the past, but yeah, again, I'm sorry, I think I'm going a roundabout way of answering the question really quite straight, but I think there's no doubt that these, like, you know, these moments of violence, be it physical and verbal, they still take place, but it's just the setting, you know, change. But yeah.
So what is your recommendability? I know you wanted to...
Give us a number.
Yeah, I know I wanted to go around the entire topic, didn't I, and go straight to my number. So
I wish you hadn't asked him.
I'd recommend it, yeah, a strong 4.
Helen?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I kind of like did a little bit of a scouring of Letterboxd, and it's interesting when you kind of know which profiles are male and which ones are kind of female identifying. And there were quite a lot of low scores from male identifying profiles, in that they took issues with maybe like the structuring, and it was just kind of like what I've sort of said about the, you know, the Netflixication of that, and then it just, I guess, men get so many films that are made for them and that they can see themselves reflected and their experiences reflected. And maybe if you're a man watching this and basically there's no redeeming men in this, you might feel a little bit put out. And that this film really feels like she is making it for women and going, I see you, these are all your experiences, I'm putting them all up on screen, and I'm not even going to give like a pass for a redeeming man. Like, they're all awful. These are all scenarios that you've been through, and made that film that doesn't give the male experience any kind of gratification or warm fuzzy feeling outside. And that if someone's watching it and their takeaway is that, oh, Rodney was awful, then okay. But if a man watches this and goes, oh, hang on, so who was the good guy here? Because if Rodney,
maybe the janitor who was like...
Yeah, maybe the janitor. Because if she picked Rodney as the best of those guys and he was the worst, then what does that kind of say about men? So, yeah, it's really interesting to have this discussion. And for me, obviously, watching it, kind of feeling all of those feelings and seeing, like, it was like, even though it's quite fictional in how it looks and sort of feels, in that the game show doesn't quite feel like you're behind the scenes in it, like you were saying, Tommy. but all of those experiences feel real. So I'm going to give it a 4.5. I think more people should definitely watch it. And yeah, I mean, it's on Netflix. I think it's done very well, and it'd definitely be one that will probably spark a lot of conversations for people.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you, Helen, with a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. I think it's an important film. I think one thing I'd like to say is with LGBT, with people of colour, with female filmmakers, hopefully we can just make films which are just hey, this is a fun film I want to make, not have a story or agenda behind it. And there's that film, The War of the Worlds, which is recently the Ice Cube one, which is terrible, but I liked it because Ice Cube was just allowed to be terrible in this terrible film, and that was fine. It didn't have to be anything else. It was just fuck it. There's many terrible films, and it was just happy that it was kind of nice that he was just in a terrible film. Why not let that happen? I hope Anna Kendrick gets to make awesome just fun films like Booksmart, for example, without really an agenda behind it, just female led, women having fun, and just that kind of thing as well. But I think it's definitely important we need these films with a story behind them that can hopefully penetrate and hopefully get ideas across and feelings across and sentiment across. Repeat viewing score. Montana went quite deep there.
It's good. Repeat. So this one, you know what? I don't know if I'd want to see it again, even though I would recommend it to everyone to watch.
Yeah, that's fair. It's watch this once. And then
yeah, it was tough. And like Tommy said, the scenes of violence in there were quite uncomfortable, even if they were done through some kind of lens, whether it be a window or a camera or piece of material. So I would say 2 repeats from me.
Tommy.
I went for 3 on this one because after watching it the second time, I'd sort of got more things from it. And I think it should be higher because when people start if we begin to talk about this film, the more we talk about this film and issues surrounding the film, the conversation that we've had already, it's it frames the film differently, and I think that's really important. And I think enough conversations have been having surrounding this film. Yeah, so I'll give it a 3.
Helen.
Yeah, I only watched it last night, so the idea of watching it again is not high on my list. And yeah, I think I probably kind of got what I wanted, but maybe if someone was I don't know what to watch, I quite fancy watching this, I would probably watch it again. So maybe a 2.5.
I'm not against watching it again. It wouldn't be the top of my list, but I did look for some documentaries or more insight on Rodney, and also wanted to see if I could find some actual footage from the Woman of the Hour and put that in a bit more context from the side. Couldn't find much that was clear, but I'd like to see that. I'd like to understand that story a bit more, because the audacity of this guy taking that many lives and then appearing on TV, it's just
Apparently there is a 3-part television documentary made by Sky Crime called Dating Death, which is an awful headline, but I don't know where it's available.
So what was your 2.5, Helen? Let's level peg with you for the first 2 rounds at least. Montana, small screen score.
Small screen score. So I know the others, Helen and Tommy, touched upon it about the way it was shot and it not being kind of within that authentic 70s format, and it's not shot on film, I don't believe. And so I would say it doesn't really matter where you're watching it, because the story is quite strong as well. So sorry, I wouldn't watch it on an iPhone, but I would also maybe watch it on a 17-inch laptop. That's about that. Yeah.
Or a really big iPad. A really
big iPad. So I'm going to give it
17-inch.
17 and a half.
That's crazy huge laptop.
That's the size of my laptop. I've got bad eyes. But anyway, I would give it a 4.
Yeah. Tommy.
I got confused with the scoring system for this one. So that's perhaps probably up for the last couple of questions.
It does happen. So essentially, if you would have really, really liked to have seen this at the cinema and think that it deserves a big screen experience, then you'll go low. And if you feel like, this was just perfect on TV, I'm happy, I would not have made the trip to the cinema, then it goes quite high, is how we do it.
I was going to say, I can sort of change my score now because I had it the other way around. So I'd probably score it quite high upon the guidelines of this particular one, in a sense that, I think it again, I must alliterate, I'm not someone to judge, even though I might have spoke about style and film, I'd give it quite high. It works, I think, for telly. It's you could watch it at home. There are certain and you hear it like some sort of films, people say, oh, they're just, sometimes they're good for streamers, they're good to watch at home, so to speak. Not that this is a good film, because it's a really violent film at times, but yeah, and I seem to think that, yeah, I'd happily watch this one on the telly, and then I kind of think, what would I gain from watching it in the cinema, apart from the collective experience, you know, which is obviously really important with all films. But so yeah, I'll rate it quite high. I'll give it a 4 in that case.
Helen?
I don't remember this having a theatrical run. I don't know if anyone remembers. I think it was literally what we used to call straight to VHS kind of thing, which was always like marked for films that were not very good. So it's kind of weird that we're entering more of a, we're just not going to bother putting this on the cinema and you can just have it as a streamer era. But yeah, it does have that this is made for TV feel, which I'm not really sure I'm happy that with, but it kind of works for this. So it's on Netflix. It's probably going to be on Netflix for a while. I might have gone to see it at the cinema had there been a chance, but I'm not sure. So yeah, a 5.
Yeah, I think this is a 5. I don't think it looks as bad from a TV perspective yourself, and I'm not sure it was a budgetary thing that's in the way it's shot. Certainly it was the digital side of things versus film. That's a budget perspective, but I think I think the whole setup could have been as she wanted it to be. But from a collective viewing experience, I don't think you'd lose anything from watching at home. Soundtrack wasn't that powerful. This is more leaning into the kind of documentary side for me, which I think I prefer watching a lot of documentaries at home where I can just kind of be a bit more introspective and think about things a bit. So for me, this is a 5. Engagement score, Montana?
I was pretty engaged throughout, to be fair. I'm giving it 4.
Nice. Tommy?
I've given it a 3 in the sense that it was engaging, and I don't remember being on my phone at all, although you hear about this isn't the case, but you hear about certain films and things being made for people to go on their phones, which is absolutely wild now. Absolutely wild.
Double screening.
Yeah.
What's it called? Double screening? Is that
Yeah. But they're now saying it like, this was made for double screening. I'm like, that's not something to be proud of.
Yeah. Absolutely wild.
Made to not pay attention to it.
Yeah. But I'd say, yeah, a 3 for me. It was engaging, yeah.
Helen?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 4. It's fairly pacey for it's at 1 hour and 35 minutes. And yeah, I resisted the urge to do a bit of Wikipediaing into the real life crimes during it, which is very good for me. I was very proud of myself.
Yeah, you do like a direct comparison. Did this happen right now?
I just can't resist it sometimes, yeah.
You didn't uncover afterwards. He was actually... I do wonder why did she change it from number 1 to number 3. But
that didn't stand out on his Wikipedia. To be honest, I kind of, after reading the first couple of people he killed in a horrific way, I was like, actually, I don't really want to read any more of this.
That's fair enough. I'm going to go... Well, because I didn't know anything about the story. I knew it was based on a true story, but I thought it was more... When I went into it, I just thought it was based on a random, quirky dating show. I wasn't expecting it to be a murder thing, so it had me like, oh, right, this is way darker than I thought it was going to be. I thought it might be a standard quote-unquote Me Too scenario where I didn't consider a serial killer to be part of the story at all. So it had me on edge right from the start. So yeah, I'm going to say 4. 4.1. That gives an overall score of 3.81875. So lost points in the repeat viewing. That's the main downfall.
Still pretty strong though.
Yeah.
Otherwise really strong. Montana, Tommy, can you tell everyone where we can find you guys online, and we'll say goodbye to the listeners?
So yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Tommy Pullen, or regarding the workshop, you can visit tommypullen.com.
And I'm at Montana Woodruff, or follow WFTV UK. If you're a woman or non-binary person working in the industry, definitely check us out, because I'm sure there'll be lots for you to kind of engage with from the membership.
Awesome. Thanks very much for listening, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes, and Rockwood Audio's editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.
My name is Percy Jackson. Getting in trouble is like breathing for me.
The hit series returns to Disney Plus and Hulu.
The danger is greater than you can possibly imagine.
What about Grover? Save Grover. Save camp.
Percy Jackson and the Olympians. New season now on Disney Plus and Hulu. Learn more at disneyplus.com/what's on.